All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Morgan Zients. I am the Senior Product Education Manager here at Jotform. Thanks for joining us today for Transform Your Athletic Department with Automation. I'm really excited to have you all here today. As far as I know, this is the first time we've had a webinar for you all for this particular audience. So especially excited to have those of you who are with us live today joining to learn with us. Today, we'll be talking about how athletic departments use no-code automation tools like forms, automated approvals, and data dashboards to streamline crucial workflows, overcome major challenges, and ultimately free up staff time to focus on supporting athletes. Here is our, gotta get my slides ready here. Our agenda for today, it looks like my slides aren't advancing. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Looks like you all should be seeing the right slide. It doesn't look like I am, but hopefully you're seeing our agenda slide here. So here is our agenda today. So really based on our research, we have found that college athletic departments today face more demands than ever before. That goes for both on the field and behind the scenes. Compliance regulations change regularly, students need holistic support, and budgets probably aren't growing at a rate that you wish they would. Your departments are likely expected to run like a professional sports organization, but unfortunately, without the resources of a professional sports organization. So today, we're here to talk about how to mitigate some of the challenges that you might be facing. We'll talk first about what automation is and what these tools might look like. We'll look at some of the biggest challenges that athletic departments today face. Then we'll look at practical ways that you can take advantage of no-code automation to address those challenges head on. And we'll be drawing on some examples of Jotform enterprise users like the University of Michigan. After all of that, we will have a demo of Jotform Enterprise. I'll go out and show you a number of the features that we talk about here today. And we'll close with some time for live questions. Now, I do want to mention with regards to questions, please don't feel like you have to save them until the very end. My colleague James is on the line with us today. He's here to answer questions as they come up, and then we can go over some of those live for the benefit of everybody at the end of the session. Also, just want to give a quick tutorial of what you're seeing on the screen here in the console. So underneath the boxes of where you're seeing me in the slides, you should see a box for questions. I know some people have already found that box, so great, perfect. You'll also see some resources related to today's session. Those are available for you to check out anytime as we go today, as well as after. And you'll see a box for scheduling an appointment. So if at any point today you want to, you're inspired and you want to speak with somebody of our enterprise team, you can go ahead and use that to make an appointment right away. You can move around these boxes. You can minimize and maximize. That's not affecting anybody else's experience. It's there so that you can focus on what you most want to focus on here today. So feel free to do that. I also want to introduce my colleague, Luke. Luke has done a lot of research on today's topic, and he's going to come in a few slides when it's time to talk about our problems and solutions. Before we get to Luke and his section, I want to just talk briefly about automation. Automation, really, what is it? Automation can replace repetitive manual tasks with streamlined digital workflows. This reduces administrative time, it reduces the potential for data entry errors, and it allows staff to focus on supporting athletes and building successful programs, which I think we can all agree is the most important part of your jobs. No-code automation can include things like online forms that auto-populate into data dashboards, automatic emails for reminders and approval flows, PDF editing tools that are ideal for receipts and invoices and other, e-signature capture, and more. In many cases, automation also includes the ability to have multiple people participate in the same platform so that you can all collaborate together with regards to any of the workflows that you create. That makes things even easier on top of the ease that automation is providing. And one more slide before we get over to Luke. Before we move forward, I just want to start by asking you all, when it comes to technology, to what extent do your workflows already rely on automated processes? not at all, a little bit, but you're looking for additional opportunities, or a significant amount, but there's always room for improvement. So I'll give you a couple seconds here to respond to that poll, and then we can go ahead and look at those results before we move forward. This, in addition to giving Luke and me some information about who's here on the line with us today, this is a really nice opportunity for you to just think about what you have in place and where you might have room for improvement. Okay, I can see a couple of people jumping in here. I'll give you another couple of seconds before we look at those results.
Definitely going to be interesting to see what pops up here, Morgan.
Yeah.
See what we got.
Absolutely. And I find that usually we get like 2 or 3 results and then kind of everybody submits at once. So great. Looks like we have enough people responding that we can go ahead and take a look at those results. So, okay, yeah, that's kind of what I expected. So pretty good mix across the board. I do want to say that even if you are already doing a lot with automation, you'll have, there will be plenty of information in this session for you today. For those of you, the small group and the not at all and the very big group that's in the a little bit group there, even in this age of technology, there's really no reason that you should be doing everything manually. There's no reason that you should be bogged down by all of that manual work. And so, again, we're here today to help talk you through how to fix some of that and make your lives a little bit easier. So hopefully at this point, you're already thinking about, sorry, my slides are being a little wonky here today, so I think this should be the right one.
There we go.
Great. All right. And Luke, I'm happy to help with slides if you have the same trouble through your part of the presentation. Right. Anyway, to the audience, hopefully at this point, you're already starting to think about some of the places where you have frustrations or you have hard to manage workflows or processes, things, again, that are taking you a long time. But at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Luke, and he can start talking through what we've seen are some of the key problems. And again, then we'll have some time to address those as well. So I'll see you back in a couple of minutes when it's time to talk about solutions, and then back for our demo as well. So Luke, you can go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Morgan. Thanks for the great intro to our webinar today. Thanks for the offer to help with slides if need be. That's really appreciated. But I'm really excited to be here, talk with everybody about this because, I mean, full disclosure, I'm a huge sports fan, whether it's football, basketball, niche sports like Olympic sports, table tennis, trampoline. I try to watch trampoline every 4 years, try not to miss it. The point is, I really do like it all. And one of the things I like most about it is those moments of glory, those moments of triumph that I see these athletes accomplish. And I know that there's a lot of work that goes into that moment that we don't see. And I do feel like your athletic departments are in a similar situation. You want your students athletes to thrive. You want your organization to be somewhere that people want to be. You want your alumni to be proud. You want coaches to want to be there. But before all that, there's a lot of work that you need to do. So we're going to talk about how to streamline that work, get it done more quickly, get it done more accurately, more easily, of course, and in a way that protects your data and keeps it in one spot. So let's get started. We'll talk about the 4 biggest challenges in athletics before we talk about solutions a little bit later. So our first issue, compliance overload. Every athlete has basically a ton of forms to fill out. You got eligibility paperwork, medical clearance forms, consent forms, and it all has to align with regulations that are very strict, whether it's the NCAA, NAIA, and of course the NJCAA for junior colleges and community colleges. So that means you got forms everywhere potentially. You got maybe even paper forms strewn about the office. Perhaps you have forms in one platform, forms in another platform. Different teams are using different tools. That's not good because a single mistake, misplaced document could lead to penalties, maybe even a potential eligibility loss for an athlete. Personal information being just haphazardly laying around is, of course, not good. Misplacing that could really tarnish a program's reputation. So to get all that, you want all your forms in one spot. We'll get to that later in our solutions portion of this. Our next issue, facilities and operations chaos. This is essentially like a massive scheduling issue. You got to coordinate practice schedules, team travel, official visits from recruits, alumni, fans, facility reservations for events, especially fundraising events. When this scheduling is managed manually, double bookings are pretty much inevitable. Say if you're managing these through spreadsheets where anybody can go into the spreadsheet, you don't know who's been in there, who's added what, who's deleted what, that can really be a mess. If you're scheduling via email, that can be a little more accurate. However, that's a big time drain and not really foolproof at all. Heaven forbid you're managing scheduling by, like, I don't know, sticky notes, or your coaches are calling one another to figure out when they can practice on what field. Stuff that's like not documented, not trackable, that's going to lead to double bookings. For example, like most teams are going to want to practice at the same time, approximately, around 3 to 6 p.m. That can be very difficult to manage, especially if you have limited facilities. I can recall in my brief student athlete career, showing up to practice one day and there's literally another team on the field and we couldn't practice. I do recall the coach being quite upset with that. Fundraising must be coordinated as well. That's very important. I already mentioned that. So all this demands smart scheduling, automated scheduling that all lives in one place to ensure the least amount of disruption possible. So moving on, we got recruiting bottlenecks. So recruiting is obviously extremely important. I don't really have to tell anybody that. It's also very data driven. I mean, you need to make important decisions, and for that, you need data. So you don't want your data living in different platforms, which often happens. Coaches and recruiters are using different tools. Data is strewn about. You've got coaches scrambling to look for data rather than spending time with athletes and fostering relationships. You've got coaches and recruiters potentially not having the necessary data to make smart decisions. That can be a real issue. So this is, of course, recruiting is also related to compliance, very closely related, clearly, but it does cut a little deeper about that, really honing in on the data aspect of this. Say you want to plan your recruitment travel budget for the year or X amount of time. Like, you're going to want to have as much data as possible and all in one space where everybody can view it, so you can decide what city to go to, which prospects are higher priority, lower priority. You want to be able to filter and sort data, so you have all the information you've gathered you have on hand, and everybody has it. Plus recruiting, when on these recruiting trips, recruitment logs need to be filed by the coach or recruiters, just so they can document what's going on that recruiting trip. I mean, that's probably the last thing they want to do is document what they're doing all the time. You want to make that easier for them so they can have more time to spend with recruits. That's essentially busy work for your coaches and recruiters, and that's the last thing they want to do. That's what this is really all about, is removing busy work. That's a prime example that can make a real impact on the recruiting trail. Furthermore, to talk about data one more time before we move slides, something that's great about Jotform Enterprise is all the recruiting data that's gathered. It's yours. Even if a coach, say, has gathered that data and has moved on for whatever reason, that information is still in your Jotform account. Our next issue, rising expectations and limited resources. So athletic departments are rarely getting the budget and staff increases they're asking for. However, the demands and expectations keep rising. So this means fewer people are having to do more work. I'm sure that sounds familiar, and that's the exact issue we're trying to tackle today. For now, you can use the University of Michigan as some inspiration for maximizing budgets and getting more work done. We talked to Tori McRae. She's their business systems analyst before we talked to her for a case study, actually. And she told us that her department saves as much as $50,000 worth of administrative hours each year using Jotform Enterprise. That's pretty impressive. We'll talk more about their story as we move along today. But for now, I'll pass the mic back to Morgan.
Great. Well, thank you, Luke. As Luke mentioned, he is Jotform's resident sports expert. So I really appreciate having Luke on the line with us today. And again, stay tuned to hear more about University of Michigan. That's coming up in a couple of minutes. Now, these challenges that Luke has just talked about, those are not unsolvable. If they were unsolvable, I don't think any of us would be here. This would be a much shorter webinar. But most of the headaches that Luke talked about have one thing in common. They are rooted in repetitive manual work, like paperwork that has to be tracked, schedules that have to be coordinated, data that has to be collected, and emails that have to be sent to keep everything moving. This is really where automation comes in, where automation shines. When we talk about automation in athletics, we're talking about taking those repetitive, error-prone, time-consuming tasks like collecting signatures, routing forms, scheduling, sending reminders, and letting technology handle them automatically. So removing some of that human component. So we are going to take a look at those same 4 challenges, and Luke's going to talk about practical ways automation can address them. But before we do that, I have one more poll. Again, this isn't necessarily going to affect the content that we'll have for the rest of the session, but more to give us a sense of what you're thinking about and to give you a sense of what you're thinking about as well. So with regards to those 4 different potential issues we just talked about, managing paperwork, coordinating schedules and calendars, recruitment effort, managing increasing expectations. Take a minute to just think about, which of those is the most significant to you and where you might need the most help. And this will kind of help you best pay attention to the next section that's coming. And again, I'll give a couple of seconds there for people to think about that and respond. And I will make those results live once we start having having a good number of people respond. Okay, we got a couple of responses trickling in.
My money's on D. I think D is going to be the winner.
You think so?
I'm just throwing it out there. Yep.
That is pretty, yeah. That is a pretty big one. I mean, it's hard to do any of this when you don't have the budgets and you have more and more expected of you without more and more money to do it.
100.
Okay. Yeah. I will give a couple more seconds here. So if you haven't weighed in yet, go ahead and do that. And then we'll look at some of those results and we'll look at all of the results. All right. Okay. I don't know, Luke. Doesn't look like D is the winner.
There we go.
So managing paperwork, that's a huge deal, right? Like there's paperwork is so much, it's a big part of pretty much everything that happens. So, whether you're in athletics or not, paperwork is a big part of all of our lives. I just bought a house myself. So, paperwork is really makes the world run. So yeah, again, I'm going to turn things back over to Luke to talk about some of the solutions here. And once Luke's done talking about those and sharing more from University of Michigan and one other case study that we have, I'll go out into Jotform and I'll show you, practically speaking, how you can implement some of the things that Luke will be sharing about. So Luke, back to you.
Thank you, Morgan. And thanks for everybody and for participating in the poll. That is definitely very informative. Even going to, alter perhaps what I present to you with the following slides. That's fantastic. So we're going to go over those same issues I went over previously, and we're going to talk about solutions. So our first issue, if you will recall, compliance overload. So our solution is smarter forms and automated tracking. Imagine all that paperwork that you have to deal with living in one digital system as opposed to, in multiple different systems or on actual pieces of paper. So all your forms live within one digital system, and you have the ability for multiple team members to access that system and collaborate within that digital system. For example, wait until you hear how many forms the University of Michigan has. It's a lot, and they can all access that system and work together. So the way this really simple and effective workflow works is athletes fill out forms online, even via mobile device. Automated workflows can route submissions to coaches, trainers, compliance officers, or all of them. Anybody you want to route that form submission to, you can do that automatically. Smart forms with conditional logic streamline the form filling process. Also, you have tools like Jotform Prefill, which is really simple and effective. or you have some form fields pre-filled already. Really increases submission rates. And then the data you acquire via these online forms is automatically sent to a data dashboard, Jotform tables, and viewable in your Jotform account. That is key. Just think about how much time you can save collecting data and then having that data without you having to lift a finger, being transferred to a database just for you and your team. So this results in this simple workflow results in faster processing and clearance, fewer errors, and of course, confidence that you are on the right side of rules from the NCAA or others. So the University of Michigan, I'll spill the beans, has nearly 1,000 forms. You can have as many forms, create as many forms as you want with Jotform Enterprise. That's a lot of forms. So each one automatically populates data into Jotform tables. There, multiple users can view the data, sort the data, utilize that data. There's user settings that you can set up in the admin console, so you can dictate how much access each team member has. That's very useful. Some people can only read, maybe have like a read-only access, for example. That'll kind of solve that spreadsheet issue that I was talking about a while ago with scheduling. Now, University of Michigan, I want to note this, they use Jotform tables and they love Jotform tables. And how their data is seamlessly transferred there, but it's just as easy to transfer this data to popular cloud storage services from Google and Microsoft. It's with Jotform native integrations, it's just as easy to do. In any event, automatic data tracking, online forms saves a ton of time, boosts accuracy, keeps your data safe, and can streamline your entire department. Next, we have facilities and operations chaos. Our solution, automated scheduling and workflows. So with practical automation, you can create a scheduling system with rules to prevent double bookings. Rather than worrying about double bookings all the time and doing a bunch of busy work to prevent double bookings, just set rules on your online form and your calendar on the form. Coaches and staff get automatic reminders, confirmations and updates on scheduling. Basically, the way this works is you create an online form, and there's a form element with a calendar scheduling form element, or you can connect your favorite calendar tools from Google and others. I think Morgan's going to go over that one for us in our demo. For example, at the University of Michigan, they have a stadium tour request form that keeps scheduling orderly. They also collect payment on that, by the way, with Jotform's authorized.net integration. The University of Michigan also schedules facility rentals, banquets, and all kinds of sports-related events with online forms from Jotform Enterprise. Next up, recruiting bottlenecks. Our solution, streamlined intake and prioritization, using data to prioritize recruiting trips, recruits, prospects, and all of that. So automation can centralize your data. Prospects upload all the information you require, even multimedia like highlight reels. Even you can set up with Jotform. They can, if you want to your prospect to provide a video interview, or you want to hear that prospect speak in their own words, they can even submit their own personal video right on the form. And then when you receive all that data, whatever data you require, it's easy to view, easy to sort. Everybody knows where it is, and you can make informed decisions. So that is definitely a big solution for recruiting data to make sound decisions. Next, we have rising expectations. Now, of course, our solution is freeing up staff with automation. That's the basis of our entire presentation today. So with all your forms in one place where everybody knows where they're at, you can create forms really easily with automated scheduling, worry-free scheduling. You don't got to worry. I mean, it's way less on your plate. With all your data in one place, that's going to save you a ton of time and allow you to concentrate on big ideas that can really move your athletic department forward. So with that, let's talk about some real examples and get to the University of Michigan. Fully to the University of Michigan. We've already talked about them multiple times, but boom, there they are. They really need no introduction. University of Michigan is one of the top public schools in the United States. Their athletic department is known the world over. They just do an incredible job at the University of Michigan. Sorry to any Ohio State fans out there. But they first discovered Jotform in 2014, and they were using Google Forms at that point. So they saw the light, they saw the need for online forms, they saw the appeal, but they wanted a little bit more. They needed a data collection tool that was scalable, easy to set up quickly, fostered collaboration. It had advanced features like conditional logic. That's something they were specifically looking for. So Tori McRae, I believe I already mentioned her, the business systems analyst at the University of Michigan Athletic Department. She said Jotform Enterprise has been a game changer for her team. It takes her just 5 minutes to create most forms. All the data is automatically stored in her Jotform account and viewable in Jotform tables, so her entire team can view it simultaneously. Jotform Enterprise, online forms from Jotform Enterprise now touch every section of her department. We're talking academics, events, team management, HR, more than that. In total, there's 350 staff members at the University of Michigan Athletic Department. Jotform Enterprise supports all of their work, as well as 940 student athletes and 27 teams. So some more details about the University of Michigan. I already mentioned how many forms they had. Already mentioned how much money they're saving in administrative hours each year. They've also processed $700,000 plus with the authorized.net payment integration since 2020. And there's more payment integrations than that with Jotform. I mean, you got Google Pay, Apple Pay, Square, Stripe. There's dozens of payment integrations with Jotform Enterprise. Furthermore, some more tools they use. They really enjoy the multi-user capabilities and the admin console. Jotform tables, we've mentioned that. Another big one is smart PDF forms and PDF conversions. Smart PDF forms essentially take PDFs that can be hard to fill online, transforms them into an online form that is easy to fill out online, and then it magically transforms that form back to a PDF. Really great tool there. Also, the PDF editor to create is perfect for receipts and invoices. I already mentioned Jotform's authorized.net payment integration, but they're using that for all kinds of stuff. Stadium tours, facility rentals, banquets, automatic emails. The University of Michigan loves those, big time savers. Conditional logic. Also white labeling to make custom branded forms. That's a big one. Also want to note that it is possible with the Jotform Enterprise to have custom web domains and subdomains to match your school. Talk about white labeling, that is significant. So we'll move on to our next example, the Mountain West Conference. Very well-known conference. I've been watching them for years. Now, of course, they're not an athletic department, but they have similar needs. And their conference, the Mountain West Conference, reduced their administration time by 50% using Jotform. Their CFO, Gary Woodlinga, told us Jotform has been transformational for his organization's operations. So they collect employee applicant data. They collect payments, again, with Jotform's authorized.net payment integration. They conduct feedback surveys. They gather feedback from all their teams in the conference, and they actually organize their league championship trophy operations with Jotform. That's pretty cool. They also really take advantage of conditional logic, and they have a really neat automatic contractor reimbursement workflow. That's kind of specific, but I think it's a good call out because really the possibilities are really nearly endless with Jotform. There's all kinds of workflows you can accomplish. It just depends on what you need to get done. And there's ways to get that done in a much more streamlined fashion. And you can learn more about these two case studies of ours on the Jotform blog. We'll provide links on our resource slide, which is upcoming after Morgan's demo and our Q&A. So with that, I will pass the mic back to Morgan.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke. And thanks again for bringing your sports expertise to all of this and sharing those use cases as well as the solutions to streamlining and automating some of these really difficult workflows, especially the paperwork. Also, with regards to those resources, we will show them on the next slide, but Just a reminder that you can access those in the console as well. So if you want to take a look, you can check those out right now. And at this point, I will go out into Jotform and we'll go into our demo. So let me just share my screen and we'll do that. Should get the infinite loop and then I'll switch into Jotform. There we go. Okay, so a couple of things I'm going to show a couple of different things. I'm again going to show a number of the features and products that Luke mentioned already in his section. Before I do that, I just want to briefly talk about Jotform Enterprise. That is what I'm using here today. As Luke mentioned, this can be white labeled. There's additional branding options. Enterprise is an organization tool. It's not an individual tool. And as Luke also mentioned a little bit earlier, if anybody leaves the organization, all of the forms and other assets they create, as well as the data that they're collecting, those still belong to the organization. So there's no risk of losing that data. I believe Luke also mentioned the admin dashboard. So admins for Enterprise have full insight into everything that goes on with the accounts. They're able to change the level of access that people have. They're able to see when something is sent out, when something is changed or moved, anything along those lines. So that's really useful for just being able to see what's going on with the account. Another collaboration feature of Enterprise is Teams, and I'm going to be doing this demo from a Teams workspace. Teams allows you to create subgroups for people to collaborate. So as an example, if your athletics department is the Enterprise owner, you could have a team for soccer, for football. You break it down by athletic team. And then anybody involved in that team, coaches, assistant coaches, and more, can all collaborate on forms, on AI agents, on data, on workflows, etc. So in this team, up in the upper right-hand side, you can see that we have a couple of people in the team. As an admin for the team, I have insight into everything going on with this team. That's down here in team settings. Again, couple of just general settings here, but I have access to all of my team members. I can change their role. There are 4 different roles. So for example, if you have a student assistant for the department or the team, and that person should be able to create forms, but not in any way have access to the data that other students are adding to those forms, you can add them as a collaborator. So there are other options there for the level of access people have to the account. There's also the team log here. So this is a log of everything that happens with the team, similar to what admins have for Enterprise accounts at an account level. This is just for the team. And then system logs as well. This is a record of anything that Jotform is sending out. So if somebody submits a form, the confirmation email that they're getting. Okay, so that is my very brief overview of Enterprise and our Teams workspace. And now I'm going to go out into one of our forms and we'll look at some of those features that Luke mentioned. We're going to spend most of the time here in forms. I'm going to look at this, pull up this athletic program enrollment form by hitting edit form. That brings this up in the form builder. This is where you would build or edit any form that you create in Jotform. With regards to branding, you have design options on the right. This is in addition to white labeling and choosing your custom domains. You can make the form correspond with your university colors. You can add logos, etc. On the left-hand side of the page are all of the elements for the form. So that would be any of the fields you need people to fill out. You just drag and drop them wherever you want. Once they're on the page, you can delete or access properties for that field. I know one of the things that Luke mentioned is requiring fields. You can do that in properties. Each field has its own properties menu. And right here on the general tab for any of those, you have the required toggle. So by default, that's off, toggle it on to require it. That means that students can't submit this form unless those required fields are completed. And that helps give you a little bit of security over your data integrity, make sure that you get the fields that are most significant, that most need to be completed. This particular form might look like probably an abbreviated version of something that you might use. We have general student information here. And then there's a second page where we're asking for background information that includes GPAs. It also includes some space for them to upload coach referral, transcripts, and a highlight reel. that's one thing that Luke mentioned, that when you're recruiting athletes, there are a lot of different pieces of information that you need, and they come in a lot of different formats. And while this isn't doing anything to control the formats, this does make sure that all of the information you're getting is kept in a singular place. It's accessible by athlete. I'll show you a couple of ways to access the data in a little bit, but this keeps everything in one single place. It eliminates the need for you to have to track people down or track information down to find things that are in one folder or print it out on your desk. It's all right here. So that is the Build tab of the Form Builder. Again, this is where you create the actual form. The Publish tab is where you would share that form. There are a lot of different options there, links, emails, etc. One option are AI agents. And we're not talking about AI agents much today, but we do have an ever-growing AI agents product. If you're interested in more about that, we have webinars every other week, and I would be happy to help you enroll in one of those. But as for sharing, you can even create an agent that will help walk your students through this enrollment process. On the Settings tab here, this is where you will control everything that happens more on the back end of the form. So not necessarily the things that people will see, but things that are equally important to your form. And we're going to spend a couple of minutes here because this is where you'll find a lot of those features that Luke mentioned. One of those is emails. Very useful for multiple different reasons. For one, this autoresponder option is that goes to the person who filled out the form. So that is their confirmation that their form was submitted. These are fully customizable by default. They'll include all of the fields from the form so the student can see what they've done. The notification email here goes to the person who created the form. So in this case, it's going to me. You can see my email address included here. Same thing, by default, it's including all the data from the form. And again, by default, it's going to the person who created the form. But if you also need to make sure that assistant coaches or head coaches even are included in these emails, you can add recipients here. This is one way you can make sure that anybody who needs to get this information is getting it. Now, if it's the beginning of the year and you know you're going to be getting 20, 30, 40 enrollment forms a day, and that's just a little too much coming to your email every time it's completed, there's also a digest email option that would give a summary of everything that's been completed that can come to you, or every form that's been filled that can come to you daily, weekly, or monthly. So maybe you set it to come in at 3 o'clock every afternoon. And at that point, you go through all of the submissions for that day. This goes directly to your email. So again, no need to have to remember to log in or to remember to follow up on things. You're getting notified, and then you can click on that email to view more. So again, very useful. Again, you can have multiple recipients here as well. And that can go to, sorry, clicked out of my form there. That again can go to you or multiple people, and that can be in lieu of the notification emails or in addition to if it's just helpful to have for another reason. I'm going to stop here just to mention a reminder that we are recording today. I know this is going to be a lot of information, and I'm going through it kind of quickly, so just rest assured you can review this at any time. Also want to mention we have tons and tons of resources available, and I'm always happy to point you to specific resources. And I'll share my my email address a little bit later if you haven't caught it already, Morgan@Jotform. So you can always reach out to me as well. Next on the list that Luke mentioned is conditional logic. I could do 20 webinars and still not cover everything involved in conditional logic. So quick overview of conditional logic is that you can use form responses to dictate the rest of the form. This can help with data integrity as well. If your students have shorter forms to fill out because some of the questions aren't relevant to them, you're more likely to get complete and accurate data that goes for all forms across the board. So you can set up logic to show or hide a field or show or hide a page based on a response that's been given. You can do calculations. One feature that might be really useful here is the ability to change email recipient. So in this particular form, if we go back to the Build tab, we have a space where they're identifying the athletic program that they're applying to. Maybe you want to change the email recipient so that it's going directly to the coach for that department. So if they rate soccer, this goes to your soccer coach. If they rate football, it goes to the football coach. And again, you can do that with conditional logic. Another thing that I've set up in this case with conditional logic is that if the student on this form identifies that they've only been playing for 2 years or less, so 1 or 2 years of their sport, we are requiring the coach referral. So they don't need a referral otherwise, but if they've only been playing a little bit of time, you can see here, we're requiring that referral so we get a little bit of confirmation that the student is up to collegiate level for athletics and is a good candidate to be considered. Briefly want to talk about integrations. There are a lot of options here, and I know Luke mentioned a few different integration types. One is payments. You can access payments from here, but also on the Build tab, when you are adding elements, there is a whole payment menu here. You can add one payment gateway per form. I know University of Michigan is using authorize.net, but you can see there are about 40 options here for collecting payments. In addition to that, another really useful integration for your purposes might be pushing things to the cloud. I actually talked to a customer recently. They're not working with student athletes, but they have another enrollment form that they're using where they also need people to upload things, and they're going through all of that and downloading everything and then making folders in the cloud and uploading everything. And I mentioned to them that you can actually do that automatically. You can connect to your Google Drive account. You tell the forms, the system where to send the forms. The system can also send any uploads to that form, and they can be organized by the athlete's name. So they're very easy to find. Again, they wind up in one single place, really easy to use. If you use an email marketing tool or a CRM of any kind, you can also connect with those and have the student information automatically pushed to those. So if you need to follow up with students through email over time as they join the program, you already have their information in your email marketing platform. So again, lots of different options here for integrations. And again, we could spend forever here, but just know that there are tons of those available. The last thing I want to talk about here is one more thing that I could spend a long time on, and we're just going to go through it, not super briefly, but just enough to give you a sense of how this works. You can build a workflow into any form, and this automates the form's follow-up process. So in this case, I have a workflow built in, and this is a workflow that's kind of mid-level. It's not super straightforward, and it's also not really complex. These can get as detailed as you need. You can see all of the elements here. So you can have approval layers, you can have approvals with signature, you can assign tasks, you can send emails. Again, there are integrations here as well, so you can integrate from this point. But again, really whatever you need to do with the data that you're getting, you can do here within the system. So in this case, what's happening is a student submits the form. We have a split here into a parallel process where 2 coaches need to review and approve or deny that student. If both coaches are approving, the workflow comes back together, and the student automatically gets sent the next step of the process, which is to schedule a medical eval. And if either coach denies, the student is instead getting a, we're sorry, we don't have space for you this season, but we'd love to keep in touch, whatever email you want to send. Again, all of this is happening automatically. You set it up here, and then you don't have to do anything with it. So when the form gets submitted, it automatically goes to both coaches. They get an email notification that there's something for them to review. Once the coaches review and make their decision to approve or deny, if they're both approving, the student is automatically getting an email to fill out that form. Or if they're denying, they're automatically getting that email. At the end, regardless of decision, all of that's going to Google Drive in this case. Again, one way you can set up that integration. I have 2 options here, approve and deny, but this can be as many different options as you need. Maybe you want to follow up with a student or have them to a auxiliary team or whatever. You can have multiple different decisions. You can set reminders. So if your coaches aren't approving right away, they're getting a follow-up notification, again, automatically sent so that you don't have to do any of that work. So this is maybe it's one of my favorite features in Jotform. And again, a lot of different ways that this can make your lives a lot easier and eliminate the need to follow up with people. The last thing I want to talk about here is how to access this data. So of course, what good is anything you're collecting with a form if you don't know how to get to it? So again, you should get email notifications, but other options include pulling information from inbox or tables. Both of these get created automatically when you create a form. Inbox is a native email tool specific to that form, and Tables is a database specific to that form. So Inbox, you can come into and review any student's response. You can see that anything they upload will also be included. You can respond to them from here. You can forward this message. You can make comments, really anything you need to do with this so that it is a usable workspace for you and anybody else that you might be working with. If instead you'd like to look at your information as a whole and kind of get an overview or do some filtering and sorting, maybe rule out certain students based on some criteria, Tables is an excellent place for that. Again, it's a database of responses. Each column is one field from your form, and each row is one response. And again, Tables also includes anything that gets uploaded to the form. You can download from here. If you download, those uploads also get included with the data that you're downloading. And you can also use Tables, again, to filter, sort. Maybe you only want to review students who have above a 3.0 GPA. You can sort based on that criteria. You can also add columns. So you can use this as a workspace to manage your workflows. Maybe you need to manually follow up with students or certain students, or you have some sort of rating system based on the information they've provided. You can do all that over here on the right by adding columns. Okay, back to my team workspace. One other thing I want to just briefly go over here. This sports medical evaluation request is the follow-up that gets sent from the enrollment form when students are approved. And I just briefly want to show this as well, because this includes two of the features that Luke mentioned, one of which is our calendar feature and the other of which is a payment integration. So probably students probably don't have to pay for medical evaluation requests, but maybe when it comes to facilities management, you do need people to make an appointment and submit a payment. So again, you can include that payment. You'll find that here under payments. I'm using authorized net here, but you have all your other options. With regards to the calendar feature, you have tons of flexibility on the length of appointments, the number of appointments, duration, etc. I guess length and duration are the same. You can automatically sync with your Google Calendar, your Outlook calendar, or a Calendly calendar, and that's going to pull in your schedule. You can set the slot durations. You can set how many appointments per day. If you're doing medical evals, that's probably one student per session. But if it's a tour of the facilities, maybe you can have up to 20 people per session. You can set those limits here. So really, full function calendaring here built into the system. Again, you can set all that up in advance, and then people can just come in and make their appointments. Very easy. You'll get an email confirmation, and no double booking or overbooking if you only have space for one person at a time, because that time slot will get removed from your calendar if so. Okay, that's everything I wanted to cover in the demo, and we're getting close to time. I want to make sure we have a few minutes for questions. Just briefly want to recap again, Enterprise is an organization-wide tool. We're using Teams here where multiple people can collaborate in a single place. And we looked at a number of features and a number of products. We looked at forms, workflows, requiring fields, email settings and notifications, integrations, and a couple of other things there. So hopefully that's given you a pretty good overview of how you might manage some of your workflows in Jotform. And on that note, I will stop sharing, and we can come back here for some questions. I did see some questions earlier on about the recording. So I do, again, just want to reiterate, we are recording today. You will get a link to this automatically, as if I haven't said that enough already. We have a system automated to send this link out to you directly. So you'll get that within the next 24 hours, and you are welcome to rewatch. When you are rewatching, the experience will look very similar to what you're seeing now. So you'll still have access to these resources and pretty much everything else you're seeing there. Resources are on the slide right now, but again, those are clickable on the page, as well as a link to today's slides. Those resources are the two case studies that Luke mentioned, so University of Michigan and Mountain West. And we also have a white paper here that goes into everything we talked about today in some more detail as well. I see a question about safety and security of collecting private student information. James, I don't know if you want to respond to that in more detail behind the scenes, but I do just want to say that our enterprise accounts do have HIPAA features, so it is safe. And then also you can identify integrations that are safe for HIPAA regulations as well. Again, I think James can go a little bit more into that. And also you can check out jotform.com/security to view all of the features that are built into our system. There is a lot. Again, I can't go into all of it right here in the interest of time, but happy to, again, jotform.com/security, or if you have questions after this, happy to follow up with you for more resources there. So thank you for that question, Shaylin. I did have another question as well. How can I include the approval status when integrated with Google Sheets? When you get your data, that approval status is included. So I'm just going to pull up the table again, and then I'll share my screen. Let's see. Basically, if I can't find this quickly enough, I do just want to assure anybody who might be concerned about statuses that is included. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up and talk at the same time. So yeah, if there's a workflow built into your form, there will be a column in your table for approval status. And in your inbox, when you're in inbox that I showed, you'll see approval status in there as well. So if something is in process, it'll indicate that it's in process. If it's been completed, it'll indicate that. You'll also see time-stamped information about when things have been signed off. So that is all included in the data that's collected. It's downloadable as well. Can I do waivers in Jotform? Absolutely. I didn't talk too much about Jotform Sign today. I believe Luke mentioned it, but we do have a signature product that you can use. So if a form isn't quite the right fit, we have Jotform Sign. You can create your own sign document. This I will share my screen for. I can find this pretty quickly. Share that. We'll go into my workspace here. When you go to create something in Jotform, you will see e-sign right here. And from here, you can take a PDF that you already have and upload it to Jotform. I believe Luke talked about this a little bit with the Smart PDF. You can turn it into a form that people can use, and you can collect e-signature here. If you don't already have an e-signature template, that's something that you use, we do have a full template library for that as well. Let's see. Is there a mobile option? Yeah, absolutely. I know as sports organizations, you probably spend a lot of your time not directly in front of a computer. So our Jotform mobile option is available to you online, on your phone, on any device. You can use it when offline as well. So if you're out on the road and don't have Wi-Fi for whatever reason on the travel bus, I don't know, you can still fill out forms, still get signatures from students, maybe for the travel, and that will upload as soon as you're back with an internet connection. Very easy to use, and makes your data accessible wherever you go. Okay, I think so. At this point, we're just about at time. So I'm going to call it there. If you have any questions we didn't get to, again, my email is Morgan, MORGAN @Jotform. I am more than happy to connect with you and follow up about resources. Also, if you're already a Jotform user and you have a use case you'd like to share, I always love seeing those as well. Luke, did you want to say anything before we sign off here?
Yeah. I'll be happy to communicate with any of you via email. You can find me at luke@jotform.com. Also, I can't help but double back on one of the really great questions we had. I do want to say that Jotform is FERPA compliant. Also, the mobile question was really great as well.
Yeah.
And yes, Jotform is very mobilely available, and that can help with a lot of stuff on the recruiting trail.
Yeah.
Not to mention stuff like hours of activity limits that athletes have. That those are much easier to track. In any event, thanks so much to everyone for attending our webinar today, and I hope to talk with you more soon.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, those were great questions. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, Luke is Luke at Jotform. I'm Morgan at Jotform. Just want to thank you all for your time today. hopefully we'll see you at another webinar in the near future. And Luke, thank you so much for co-presenting with me today. It was great to have you and your expertise here from the exact opposite side of the office. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. And don't hesitate to follow up if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone. Bye.